I feel like in our current society, especially in the West, we fail to neglect the fact of how important it is of what our consumptions are and how that makes us feel, our body, and ultimately our mind that's affecting us on every single level. Welcome to the Frontline Warriors Club, where we live it, not in it. Thank you for joining us for this conscious movement. You can find us on wearefrontlinewarriors.com. Now, before we start the show, let's take a big breath in and inhale. Exhale. Let the show begin.
Today we're going to introduce the fourth pillar, Be Well. This pillar is focused on consumption. It's all about what you do, what you eat, and how you interact on a daily basis. So being well takes a few components into mind. It takes your physical health and your mental well-being into consideration. It's all consumption. You consume food, you consume thoughts, you consume other people's feelings, and you consume your feelings. So Be Well is focused on the integral part of you just consuming everything around you and near you.
I remember when I heard that quote, "You are what you consume," and it blew my mind once you start figuring out that your body consumes everything. If you want to think about it as energy, right? You consume the news that's going on, which is affecting your environment. You could be negative, you could be stressed out, maybe you could be happy. You are what you read. You are the music that you consume. If you're consuming heavy metal or something, and then there's people that do that, so power to, awesome genre. But what if the music is having an effect on your behavior, the way you're feeling? So consumption, just like you said, has to do with everything. And I feel like in our current society, especially in the West, we fail to neglect the fact of how important it is of what our consumptions are and how that makes us feel, our body, and ultimately our mind that's affecting us on every single level.
It's almost as if you're examining the quality of your life. And if you are living your life and partaking in your life in the same way as your values and beliefs are aligned. So are you living the way that you really believe you should be living? Do you follow your values? Do you follow your beliefs? Or are those just kind of in the back of your mind and you don't really take a look at them very often and you just go about life all willy-nilly? So Be Well is really focused on that aspect where it's all about the quality, the physical quality, the mental quality, because like you said, Matt, you are what you consume. The thoughts you think about are you, because those are the thoughts you're thinking. The food that you consume is you. That's the building blocks for your physical self. So if you're eating poorly, you're not exercising, that's going to give you the life that you currently have, or the life that you didn't want but you do have, because you might have these beliefs and these values of grandiosity. You want to portray yourself as this person, or you believe that you should be eating this or doing that, but you really are not aligned with that. So are those really your true values and beliefs, or is that just something that you just tell yourself just to kind of fit in, or maybe just some kind of a cliche way of saying things? Are you really healthy? Are you really fit? You have to ask yourself those questions. What is the quality of the life you're living? Does it really align with what you believe in, what you value? Are you actually doing the things you want to be doing and the things you tell people you are doing? That's a huge proponent of this, because a lot of times, like I said before, you say one thing and you do another, and you have this belief system that's not really your belief system. It's been brought upon you, and you just follow the narrative and not really taking yourself into this perspective.
Yeah, I like how you said beliefs, and I always preach about them. They're very powerful. It's something I coach about. But beliefs are the principle of the subconscious mind. So you have the conscious mind, which is very rational. It takes into consideration of five senses and how we experience life. And then we have the other part of the conscious being, which is the subconscious. And the way I like to think about the subconscious mind, it's almost like soil. And in this soil, we plant seeds every single day based on what we just talked about, consumption. But our subconscious mind just obeys commands of these seeds being planted. So whether you're planting good seeds or bad seeds, They just are the seeds that your subconscious mind is going to take into its soil and bring into fruition. So if we're consuming this negativity, whether it's through our friends, the environment, whatever it is, more than likely we're going to become this product of this environment, and we're going to start living and behaving that way. So if you are behaving based on just your friends, then yes, you're planting these seeds, and whether they might not be yours from the beginning, you're going to eventually fool your subconscious mind into believing they are truth. And then eventually that's how our fear sells us our lies. So we're very good at storytelling, and that's why we have to be careful about what are we planting in the garden of the soil, which is the subconscious.
Yeah, it's almost like you're saying that this is a mind-body approach. You watch the news, you hear something bad, all you hear is negativity for a week. You start to get IBS, you start to get diarrhea, you start to get cramps, you start to get uncomfortable. That's how strong this mental consumption is, you can say. A good example of showing you how unaligned some people are is, for example, food. We all have this idea of nutrition. We know what we should be eating. We should be eating vegetables. We should be eating fruits. We should be eating meats. All these things in a healthy manner, and we all know this, right? But how much of us can, without a doubt, say you follow this nutrition schedule? You know what you should eat, and you know what you shouldn't eat. But yet we fall into this trap of consuming more of the stuff that we're not supposed to, versus the stuff that we're supposed to be consuming, like healthy food. Same with, for example, social media. Are you consuming social media in the right way? Because that's consumption technically too. Are you looking at negative things on the internet that then give you negative thoughts, or are you looking for something positive, maybe some motivational stuff, some self-help stuff that helps you work on yourself, or are you just wasting time? It goes both ways, and the more you do something, the more you crave it. So the cycle is hard to break, but once you break the cycle, it's a beautiful thing because it lets you start over. So you're never ever in a loss. You're just in constant change. You can always change your thoughts. You can always change your diet. You can always change your workout program. We are in a constant change, and Be Well really focuses on this because we are forever evolving beings.
Yes. So the way we broke down Be Well is you also have these 4 pillars that you could focus on and be well to live this healthy lifestyle and be more of a conscious being. So one of those pillars to start off is faith. What are your current beliefs and what are you believing? What are you standing by? Maybe your morals. And what happens is these beliefs are core values essentially, and they build the character of who you are. So it's almost like building integrity and having trust within yourself. So if things are not working out in a situation, you're going to fall back to these core values that you stand by. Or maybe you are in a physical situation that you feel uncomfortable with. You have this moral compass, your faith of this is good, maybe this is not for me, maybe I should take myself out of this situation. And even Viktor Frankl, which was the psychologist that was a Holocaust survivor, he said that people didn't die from like the lack of food and water, they died from the lack of hope. So again, faith is a very powerful pillar in Be Well, to stand by and have faith no matter what it is in your life, to have a healthy lifestyle. And faith could be also the beliefs where you're not feeling stressed out about a situation. So again, going back to the subconscious, it's very powerful because of the stories that you're telling yourself. So whatever religion you are, whether it's real or not, or whatever the situation is, it's a belief. And the belief is the principle of the subconscious mind. So if you tell yourself the story, your subconscious is going to do very good to create your external environment to be the same way. So faith is very powerful. Be careful on what you think your values are, your morals. Assess them based on your core values, because they'll be the leading factor in the sailboat to take you to the right direction, no matter where you are in life.
Yeah, you said that very well, because when I hear faith, and I'm sure when other people hear faith, they automatically assume religion. What is your religion? Do you believe in God? Do you not believe in God? What kind of God do you believe in? But you explained faith very nicely. It's your beliefs. It's not this religion that everybody follows. It's, you could say, you're almost your own religion. It's like your moral compass. It's not something that you belong to. It's faith is just you, just what you believe in, what you think of yourself, and how you believe you should act as a human being. Even
from Christianity, one of the pillars in Christianity is charity. And charity doesn't always have to mean to give money, whether it's to your church or to organizations or nonprofits. Charity could be doing acts of good deed. Maybe you're donating something to somebody one day, or to a homeless person. Maybe the charity is you giving life advice to people. So charity could mean a whole different things. And yeah, I think sometimes the definitions are very murky, and faith could be just beliefs.
The second pillar of be well is going to be function. And a really good example of this is your posture. So you could say function is the way you portray yourself, the way you walk around in society. You may not always realize that about yourself. You might not notice the gestures that you do, the eye contact that you make, but that all plays into be well. And like I said, a good example of this is your posture. You could tell when someone is slouched down, doesn't want to be approached. Are you that kind of person that doesn't want to be approached? You don't want to, for example, consume what other person has to tell you. You're not consuming any kind of learning, any kind of education. You're not opening up yourself for room for growth. You have to stand up straight. Even Jordan Peterson, when he wrote his 12 Rules for Life, he really talked about posture and how you portray yourself. And he related an example of lobsters. When lobsters get into a conflict, it rarely ends up being a fight or any kind of physical altercation or violence. What they do is they posture up, they stand, they show their claws, and usually the more straight, you could say, lobster, the one that looks kind of bigger, the one that portrays himself as bigger and looks bigger, is usually the winner in the altercation. And doesn't ever result, not ever, but it doesn't result in violence very often. It's just the way that lobster stands and the other lobster fears him. I'm not saying bring fear upon people, but the way you posture yourself, the way you walk around, the way people perceive you does have an effect on others and also yourself. Because maybe you're just not opening yourself up for a conversation because of the way you look, the way you sit. Maybe you keep looking down. So that plays a very important role in being well.
Very good point. Posture could also mean nonverbal communication, where you can assess the way you feel about yourself. If you're having a slouched posture, what is that saying about the way you believe about, what you believe about yourself? Maybe you're somebody that's not confident, so be well for you is going to be instilling and changing the belief of not having confidence. And naturally, when you're starting to become more confident, you'll have your chest pop out because you won't be afraid to speak authentically, and you're going to be more open, versus somebody that has a posture where they're not confident, guarded, because they're looking for reassurance. So posture, yes, very important pillar, and it's also a huge thing about belief. How are you energetically presenting to people? And if your posture is straight, you are more confident, then people are going to have a better connection with you and maybe a better relationship and communication, which in return is going to reflect positive things back to you. So again, this pillar of function is full circle, and it's going to affect you the way you feel about yourself, but also the way people feel about you, just like you said, Pete. So the third pillar for be well is fitness. And of course, physicality is very important. The more muscle mass you have, or the better you run, the better cardio stamina that you have, the better you're moving against gravity. And the more efficiently you're moving against gravity, the slower you're going to age, the better you're going to feel about yourself. So we always talk about the mind-gut connection and feeding yourself properly. That's going to affect how you feel. Maybe you're more fatigued. So fitness is going to be able to combat that, where you're going to feel better, the endorphins and etc. So never neglect your physical health, because there's no such thing as just being constant. I'm fit every single day based on the choices that you're making. That cursor is moving either left or right, towards health or towards disease. The choice is yours based on everyday choices.
Yeah, 100%. This one's a little bit easier to grab, the fitness portion, because you can see when someone has been working out, they have a good physique. They look healthy, and you directly control this. If you want to look a certain way, you have the ability to change the way you look by going to the gym. And the beautiful thing about this is you're not just training your physical muscles, you're also training yourself mentally. You're doing hard work. It takes hard work to look lean, to look healthy, to have a good body fat percentage. It doesn't just happen overnight. You don't just wake up. And the thing is that it takes a long time, a lot amount of time to do this. It's not something that happens in a week. So you're always going to push yourself physically, but while you're pushing yourself physically, you're also pushing yourself mentally. And you're consuming these positive thoughts because you're showing yourself that, hey, you could do this. You might go into the gym and not be able to bench 135. And you might work real hard for it. And you might think, hey, you might be a female. You might only weigh 120 pounds. And you're like, oh, I'm never going to bench 145. I'm never going to win that competition. But then slow and surely enough, you keep going to the gym every day. Your bench keeps going up. And then once you hit that 135, you're like, oh, crap, I actually did this. And it trains you and it shows you that long-term commitment and consistency gives you the results that you want. So then you could translate that from the physical aspect to the mental aspects, from people that have negative thoughts. If you're depressed, best thing for you to do is go to the gym, because there's just something about working out that just stimulates your mind to show you that, hey, you're not this piece of crap that you think you are, because you're able to attain these goals, you're able to do these things, and you're just as largely training your mind as you are training your muscles at the gym. And that's the beautiful thing about it. And a lot of people don't understand that, and you don't really understand it until you actually do the work and commit, because that's something that just happens. It's like, for example, religion. You pray, you learn the prayers, and then you slowly start to feel better. That's kind of how weightlifting is. It's a long-term approach to success. Rome wasn't built in, where they say, in a day or whatever. So same with your body, same with your mind. This is the beauty of it. You physically see your body changing in that mirror, and then for some reason, somehow, your mind changes as well with your body physically changing. It's an amazing process. It's like one of the gifts from God.
Yeah, and on this conscious journey of becoming more self-aware, I think that pillar, fitness, is one of the first ones that a lot of people start loving themselves more, start accepting themselves, or they don't feel that their body is just a chore where they have to go into fitness and lift. Now they're going to start feeling better about it. So that, even along my journey and our journey, fitness was the first one where we learned this connection of how well it feels taking care of yourself.
Yeah, and sometimes it does feel like a chore. Sometimes you're just tired, you don't feel like going in. But guess what? Same with chores. You don't feel like doing laundry, your room's a mess, right? You do some chores, you feel so much better by cleaning up that room. So sometimes things feel like a chore. We might be in a career that we love. Yet in that career that we love, there's still crappy days. We still have bad days. You could have all the things in the world and you could still have a bad day. And that's the beauty of it, is that you push with it, and that trains your mind even further, because you physically didn't want to, you mentally didn't want to, your body didn't want to go, your brain didn't want to go, but guess what? You went. Your intrinsic self went, and everything was stacked up against you. Your muscles were sore. They didn't feel like working. Your mind was sore. Maybe you had a stressful day. It didn't feel like going anyways, but you literally pushed your physical self and your mental self to do that work, and that's a beautiful thing.
Mind over matter, right?
100%.
So the fourth pillar is food, and as we know, nutrition plays a vital role in how you feel, how your body works, and etc. So the mind-body connection is important. We know that the gut has the direct correlation with our feelings because of the gut microbes that are breaking down our food, the metabolites that they're releasing that are traveling up the vagus nerve, that's having an effect on our mental well-being, that could create fog, anxiety, depression, etc. So on your journey, maybe after fitness, getting the food down is very important, because consuming is a lifestyle. It's not a diet, it's a lifestyle on what your consumptions are. So you can start very small by eliminating processed foods. Maybe it's not consuming soda, and then as you get better on your journey, you keep eliminating the things that are non-negotiables that are causing harm to your body. You can start getting better on maybe choosing better food products, such as eliminating high fructose corn syrup, and then avoiding industrial seed oils, and it's going to carry on. And the more you begin this journey of consumption, healthy consumption, you're going to start feeling better, and it's going to correlate to every aspect of your life.
This is definitely one of the harder ones to narrow down, and I'm guilty of it too. sometimes getting your diet in check is one of the hardest things in the world, because you just get so used to maybe eating out, eating more processed food, like Matt said, high fructose corn syrup, where you become addicted to it mentally. It produces it releases these endorphins, these happy chemicals that you just get from eating. And the interesting thing about food is a lot of people consume on emotion. They had a bad day, they're stressed, they allow themselves to eat a high carb meal or a high calorie dense meal that maybe they shouldn't have ate. And you can't blame yourself. You just have to realize that, okay, I ate this meal, tomorrow's another day, we could pick it back up. And nutrition, people know what's healthy. A lot of people know what's healthy and what's not. And it's one of those things where we always go against, you could say, our values when it comes to food, because we know what foods to eat, but we don't always eat them. But a lot of us are educated enough to know that you should be consuming certain things over others. But yet somehow we still have this affinity for this sugar, this unhealthy food, diet sodas, fast food, hamburgers, cheeseburgers, all that kind of stuff. And it's crazy how society has been shaped to consume these brands, you could say. McDonald's has been in existence for such a long time, and they work on your emotions. Even the color scheme of McDonald's, yellow and red, is very bright. It's very easy to see. So it's easy to see. So you see it, and by going to McDonald's a bunch of times, your body associates those golden arches and that red McDonald's logo as happiness, as these good endorphin release, these good chemicals, and you become addicted to it subconsciously without even realizing it. And it's one of those things that it takes a long time to break, especially if you have a bad habit of eating on emotion or eating on stress or eating your feelings away. It's really tough to break, but once you break it, you feel a whole lot better. Your gut changes, because our gut biome is directly related to the foods that we eat. The microbes that grow in our gut need to be the ones that are able to process that food. So if you're eating a lot of fast food, well, guess what? You're going to have a lot of organic matter there that is going to consume this fast food, which might not be the healthiest for you in a long term. So it's it's a dangerous thing, and diet is one of the easiest things to cheat on, but it's also one of the easiest things to get back, because it doesn't take a drastic change in diet for you to get back on track. Matt and I always stress elimination. If you look at any diet out there, keto, paleo, it has a simple complex to it. You're eliminating something to eat, and by eliminating that food, guess what? You're eliminating a certain amount of calories of your diet, so you're obviously going to lose weight. So you don't necessarily have to follow a single diet out there. Just follow what you feel comfortable with, and just eliminate the bad stuff and replace the bad stuff with the good stuff. It's a really simple formula, but it's really, really hard for us to accomplish it, just because we've been so programmed subconsciously to these brands, to these logos, to these foods, to these tastes. But it's a beautiful thing once you get it nailed down. All the bodybuilders, especially if you're trying to train and get real healthy, everyone always says if you could change your diet, it's going to be a bigger difference than any kind of gym workout. And that's super true, because if you're consuming 5,000 calories a day and you're working out and you're only burning 1,000 calories on that workout, well, you still have a surplus of 4,000. But if you could drop that 5,000 calories a day to 3,000 and you're working out 1,000 calories, then guess what? You have 2,000 surplus instead of that 4,000 than before. It's a very interesting topic, and it's very hard to narrow down. But if you can, amazing and drastic results mentally and physically, 100%.
Another thing I want to add on is the beliefs that you have about food play a very vital role as well. So trust your impulses sometimes, that maybe you are craving something, that your body needs this specific food, and enjoy it. But when you're enjoying it, don't have the belief that this food is bad for me, or if this food, or if you have a belief that I'm not going to be able to properly digest this food because I can't do this, because your body is just as conscious and just as intelligent as your mind is. So if you consume something and say this is harmful for me, your body is going to break it down in a harmful way. That's how powerful beliefs are. So if you're saying, well, if I eat this food and it's going to give me bloating, that's your belief, you're going to experience bloating. You're literally going to just replicate what you're feeding into your subconscious mind. And another thing which is very vital when it comes to food is the whole epigenetics that we've been recently discovering the past decade or so. So we've thought that disease is always passed on by family. If your mom has diabetes, then I'm more likely to have it and predisposed to it. But now we're finding out that lifestyle and environment are playing just as much of a role, if not more, because there's genes that are being turned on and off based on what we're consuming and doing, feeling and saying, which in return is going to create disease. So now the school of thought is, yes, my mother has disease like diabetes that could lead me to getting diabetes. But what if it's the lifestyle, the food that she's consuming, that I'm consuming the same way, that in return, my environment is causing me to be predisposed to diabetes? So just food for thought that the power of epigenetics is very powerful, that could be affecting your body as well based on the consumption of food that you're consuming.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up epigenetics because, like you said, just because you have a relative, a mother or father that has diabetes doesn't mean you're going to get it. An interesting way to combat the likelihood of you getting it, look at the person that has diabetes, your mom, father, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, and look at what they're doing in their lives. What are they consuming? How are they acting? How are they functioning? Are they exercising? And if you live your life the same way they do, well, guess what? You're going to get diabetes because technically you're predisposed, and instead of consuming for prevention, you're just consuming almost to turn that gene on. So that's a wonderful thing about that is being well, and wellness starts whenever you want it to start. You can start it today. You can start it right now. That's the beauty of it. You could reverse these things. You could reverse certain illnesses. I know a lot of people suffer from like different skin conditions, and that could be easily solved by eliminating certain things from your diet. Like you mentioned bloating a little bit ago. Are you getting bloated because of stress? Are you getting bloated because of maybe you're eating too much wheat, too much grain, too much pastas? You gotta figure that out. And that predisposition stuff, it's beautiful because you could look at someone and you could tell how they got to that state. You could tell how they got to that illness. And just because your family member has that doesn't mean you're going to get it. You could literally write up a rubric or something to follow, and you could prevent yourself from getting that. That's like that amazing gift. Another gift that we got from God. I know we mentioned another gift before, but it's that beauty. Just because you're predisposed to something does not mean you're going to get it. But you have to do that yourself. Because if you're predisposed to something, that means you have a chance of getting it. And if you don't do anything about it and try to not get it, then you're probably going to get it. It's just like, for example, like STDs. If you're going around having sex with who knows who, random people, a bunch of people, and you're not using protection or you're not taking it easy, you're setting yourself up for failure. It's in the same way. You have ways to prevent things. Just because someone says, hey, you have a higher chance of getting this, doesn't mean you'll get it. But the thing is, you have to do something about it. You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again that your maybe parents or your grandparents failed to change in themselves.
100%. I love it. So to summarize this, remember that every single choice that you're making has a consequence. Being well is all about being healthy based on faith, function, food, and fitness. So be careful what you consume in every single aspect of your life because those choices have consequences.
Thanks for tuning in. See you all in the next pillar.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the show and want to support the podcast,
please subscribe, leave us a comment, or give us a like on all platforms
at We Are Frontline Warriors.